Welcome to the Block PC. I am Robin. This is my wonderful co-host Dallas, where we want to open our hearts as a community, creating an open space for healing and conversation. We are not medical professionals. So with that being said, take our advice as you wish, but I just want to put it out there that we are not medical professionals. We just really want to open our hearts and connect with our community, creating an open space for healing and conversation. Yeah, so Dallas, I'm going to let you start. Do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Born and raised here in Colorado. We work at a kids autism clinic, servicing kids with autism from 2 years old to 8 years old. I think that for me, like I said, this is something fairly new for me in terms of how many years I've been on this planet. Most of them has been spent not taking care of my mental health. So I think it's important that we do this, and I'm excited for it.
All right. I'm Robin. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, born and raised where people do not take mental health serious. You mainly spend most of your time trying to learn and grow and figure out how to survive. So I feel like a mental health podcast will be really beneficial to the people that are around us, the youth, the old, the young, the new, especially in 2024 where a lot of stuff happens, a lot of stuff can happen. We really just want to connect through experiences. Like I know I have a lot of stories. I know you have a lot of stories that can help people grow, prosper, learn. In any direction.
Let them know they're just not alone.
Yeah, we're here to talk.
We going through
and
it
always
too,
talk. So this is a space for communication. Yeah. So when do you feel like you decided to first take mental health serious?
I feel like for me, it was probably when I went to college.
College?
Yeah, I was in San Francisco.
You went to college in San Francisco?
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
I was in California for like 7-8 years.
Sheesh.
I didn't get to finish, unfortunately. It was too much of a ticket. Wasn't taking care of my mental health at all.
Okay, that's
crumbling
valid.
down. But I think that was probably around 19, 20 really.
Yikes.
Where I realized that like I was in a lot of funks, you know what I'm saying? A lot of deep funks. And it was like I can either stay in this funk or I can kind of figure out the roots of it, figure out how I move, you know what I'm saying? How I can overcome this.
Right.
And I think that's when I started really being like, okay, I really got to like start talking to people about this. I got to start caring about myself and like putting myself in situations where I'm going to succeed or I'm going to have faith in myself or something like that,
So in college, man.
Yeah. It was a long time.
Unfortunately for me, I can't say it happened in college. I can say that it did happen around my 20s. Like I said, I have lots of stories and experiences, which hopefully we'll get to talk about through this podcast. But I personally feel like I really started to take my mental health serious when, not my first breakup, not my second breakup, but it was my third one where I was like, man, like you're not loving yourself. You're not taking care of yourself the way you should or the way you need to. And just realizing, like, you always hear people say, love yourself first. But how do you do that if you're never, taught that? So I feel like I really started to take mental health serious throughout the relationships that I've been through. One, yes, but when I really had to sit alone and be by myself to understand like who I am as a person and what I'm actually going through. So I want to say 2022, 2021, those were like really crucial years for me. Yeah, like crucial years for me, and like just trying to grow and elevate and learn without everything that you see on social media and, other influences. Like it takes a lot to sit down and learn yourself and lock in with yourself in that way without focusing on the crowd and everybody.
And it's hard at first. Like it really sucked having to be alone and sit with your thoughts and work through them.
I feel like that's the hardest part, like learning to be alone. I feel like a lot of people don't want to learn to be alone. And
I think you just try to distract yourself until you're like, wait a minute, you got to stop at some point. And I think that's important that like, I want to be able to sit by myself and have a good time.
Because once you learn to like sit and be by yourself and be alone, I feel like you can really conquer anything at that moment. Like you start really tapping in with yourself and like your thoughts and like the things you don't like about yourself or the things you do like about yourself. So I definitely feel like that's a really important stage and part of your life when it comes to developing your mental health.
Mm-hmm. So, I feel like it's easy to identify, very hard to like actually get through. Like it takes time and it takes like effort and energy, and there are days when it's like I hate this.
And it's hard to do that with a crowd too, I will say, because like your surroundings can really like, I don't want to say they can change the way you're thinking, but if you're not able to think for yourself, then you're kind of just like going with the motion and the flow of everybody else. And that could be a cool life, I guess. But at the same time, like if you don't know what you like to do, like outside of other people, then can you really say that you're happy?
It's like it's more distraction than it is passion.
Yeah,
I think, and I feel like that's when you can tell people who really love what they do versus people who do it because they feel like it's like a means to an end or something. Like maybe if I'll do this, I'll be happy. Like
yeah.
how about you just try and focus, figure out what makes you happy, and then do that.
Right.
Which
like,
is a hard thing. That's the hardest part, I think.
I think the things that make me happy right now, like that started the whole like, oh, focus on your mental health is like I said, my art, because no one can take that from me. That's something that I love to do. That's something that I love to work on. And I don't feel like anybody can take that from me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like once you feel like somebody can come in and snatch your dreams or snatch your goals, then it kind of just goes a little different.
On the flip side, I feel like I didn't or don't have like a hobby that I really connect with that deeply. So I feel like
we're gonna get you right this
year.
We're gonna get you right with the hobby.
I feel like
no,
I beat myself up a whole bunch though because I didn't, and I was like, oh, I'm not doing something like them. I'm not doing something like them, and it's like I gotta remember to give myself a little grace because there is a lot of things that we're doing that we got going on, and life is hard. Like it's hard to get around this stuff sometimes.
I feel like everybody is put here on this earth to figure out what they want to do on their own. You know what I'm saying? Like you can watch this person and you can look at this person and see what they're doing, but ultimately at the end of the day, I feel like we're all here and put on this earth to figure out what we're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's, picking up a new craft, whether that's you creating something on your own dream, your own vision, but I definitely feel like, like it's meant to come from here. And whether you know what that is or not, I feel like it just takes time to like actually
you gotta
find
figure it out.
Yeah.
You gotta do it. I
you
think
have to
once you know, though, you know.
Do the work. Do the work. I was like, what do you feel like are some of the struggles that you face with mental health in the time and era that we live in today?
I think there's for me, it's two big things. One, there's social media, right? And it's so easy to fall into that rabbit hole.
Right.
It is. Just seeing, not even people like accomplishing things, just doing things. Like, you know what I'm saying? And when you're not doing things, like that can get really discouraging.
It could get depressing, yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think for me, that was a really big thing because I'm like, Jesus, like I'm sitting on the couch looking at this and they're outside doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that really would get me down a lot too. And then also just like always feeling this like need to be doing something, chasing the rabbit. Like
I don't feel like that's necessarily a bad thing though.
Yeah.
Like the need to want to do something, I feel like that's such a good thing because that means that your brain is
right.
You know what I'm saying? But I understand why it could be hard for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think motivation and actually getting up and doing it for me a lot of times was the difficult part. Like knowing, it almost sucked more knowing what I should be doing and not doing it than just being lost altogether. You know, I think for me, it's like you gotta give yourself a lot of grace, bro. Like you
grace
really came a long way. And you got a long way to go, but understand that like you've accomplished a lot of stuff, and that's the stuff you should be focusing on, opposed to you should focus on what you've already accomplished and the amazing, endless possibilities of what you can accomplish, opposed to just like what you're not doing. And I feel like for me, once I started thinking that way, it was easier to just forgive myself and like let myself
show some grace,
relax, or let myself be like, okay, you know what, you can chill here, but in an hour, whatever, like get up, man, do something.
I'm not gonna lie, it's still hard for me to day by day, like, just realize like it's okay to, sit in the moments of where you are because there's so much stuff going on around us. Like I said, you see everybody doing this and that, but I do try not to like let social media and stuff like that depict where I am in life. I feel like I'm just such a busy person overall. Like I'm gonna keep moving, like how you said, like just keep moving regardless, because if I sit and think about what the next person is doing, then I'm just like, I'm not moving, I'm not elevating, I'm not growing. But I can get out there and do stuff and create and, make stuff happen for myself versus just, watching the outside world. So I definitely understand that part. I feel like my struggles are just like not really feeling like I have the support all the time with the things that I want to do. Like I said, my mom was always about bills and getting stuff paid. So when it comes to like having people that support your ideas and dreams, it's like you still have to stick to that even without the support, of this person or that person. Like you still have to stick to those goals, like even if you don't have a crowd.
Yeah, I think that's hard. Is like you got to be willing to be the only one cheering for your stuff until other people are ready to cheer for it. Yeah, and that's a hard thing, especially someone I feel like who does art like you. Like you put art to be experienced and for people to see it.
Yeah.
And so it's like if people aren't looking at it or seeing it, I'm sure that can get kind of discouraging.
It does, but at the same time, like I said, like I know myself, when you sit with yourself and you take those moments to just do what you love, I don't feel like those things matter to a certain point no more.
Right.
Like I feel like I've done art for so long now that I don't care who likes it or not. I'm still gonna do it regardless, because not only is it up here, it's in here. So like it can have 1 like, it can have 2 likes, it can have 0 likes. But I promise you I'm still gonna do it the next day, because that's just the connection that I've built with it and the understanding that I have with it. I don't do it for other people anymore. I remember when I first made my first Instagram post, like as an artist on Instagram, I was like, I don't really think I'm that great, but there were other people who thought it was cool and it was great. And this was when I started from the bottom with just making like nothing, just random stuff. So yeah, I feel like just learning and like having like learning to really just understand, like you don't always need people to support your dream and your vision. You should do it regardless. So I feel like that's a struggle of mine sometimes, because I feel like I do so many things.
I feel like social media makes it hard too, because like if you get 30 likes like on a post, you'd be like, dang, I got 30 likes, or like cool, 30 likes. But like if you had 30 people come into your room and be like, dang, I like this art, you'd be like, whoa, that's so much, like that's crazy, like there's so much love. Yeah. So it's like social media has a way of skewing it where like it can get you so down so fast. But like, yeah,
I've seen it.
Like, you know what I'm
saying?
It
in real life. Yeah.
But it's also like you're not leaving it either.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it hard sometimes.
You got to have those people who support you in real life.
In real life.
Social media.
Turn the phone off.
Turn the phone off. Turn it off. Turn the camera off. Everything. The people who support you in real life. That's what takes you 1,000 miles versus what's portrayed on social media and stuff like that. I feel like another thing that I struggle with is just keeping my mindset, positive through all the negative that tries to enter your world, and when you're trying to work on all these positive things, because of course we're talking about mental health and stuff like that. I do feel like people will try to tear you down, or like people will try to like push off their feelings towards your dreams and your expectations, but you can't really have that. You can't really let those things depict where you're going in life and like your journey and stuff like that. So that's another thing that I feel like I personally struggle with. Just like not letting people tell me what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna do it regardless of you like it or if you like it or they like it. Yeah.
Have you thought about like? Yeah, I have. It's
yeah,
okay, I have.
I've thought about all this before. You know, I'm still gonna do it regardless of what the next person thinks. And I feel like that's a great mindset to have, because if you didn't do the things that you planned on doing, like, but then you go see someone else doing them, how are you gonna be mad about it? You could have still did it too, like, or you could still do it. That's why I don't feel like you should let people take things away from you, your thoughts, your creativity, your mind.
If you had to give advice, right, to someone who was starting their art journey, what's the first or few things you gotta let them know?
First and few things I want to let them know is that you got to trust the process. And you have to trust the journey. You have to trust where you are enough in your journey, regardless if you start from 0 followers, like I said, or 1 million followers. You have to trust where you are, because nothing happens overnight and nothing is given to us overnight. Like everything starts from somewhere. So
even this podcast, this is what? 3-4 months.
We started talking about this in November.
I think.
And at first it was all a dream. It was all like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this or we're gonna do that, but where it is now,
you know what I'm saying?
It feels great. It feels great to be like, okay, we're actually rolling. But imagine if we only just talked about it and we only just, we could do that. Imagine if we never bought the equipment. Imagine if we never even, had a producer. So I feel like I say about that, trust in the process and understanding where you are on your journey, and not everybody else's journey is your journey.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. You're so insightful, Robin.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're insightful too. I love you.
I love you too, man. Hold
on. Okay. So what are some ways that you feel like you try to overcome like struggles and like mental health struggles that you face in your life, whether small or big?
I feel like for me, it's one, figuring out, is this something that I need to power through and like get done and get over, like not necessarily over it, but like something that I really got to sit with, or is it something that I can, take a break from,
Right.
And so like if something is really bothering my mental, is it like, am I gonna sit here with my feelings and really process this? Or, have I been doing a lot? Like, do I need a day to just chill? Do I need a day
Taking that day
to
is
go and get
important.
a meal that I want to go get? You know what I'm saying? Or step outside or take a day off from work. Like,
our job is hard.
That's what I'm saying. Like I gotta decide. Like, sometimes the problem isn't that deep, and I mean that like, sometimes you don't have to sit here for hours and think about the roots and what happened and blah. Sometimes it's just like, bro, just go and live a good day. Just have a good day.
I would say I went through a lot of therapy in my life with like some of the things that I faced and stuff like that. And the number one thing they would always tell me was like, you keep ruminating on the same thoughts. Like ruminating is when you constantly like think about stuff that's not even really happening no more, but you'll just think about it and you'll talk yourself down into, just living in those moments because you don't want to stop thinking about what just happened or what like happened in the past. And so I had to teach myself, like, stop ruminating on all this stuff. Like,
let it go.
Some of this stuff happened in 2021, 2019, 2010. Like, why are you still holding on to these things? So I do feel like you have to, like, train your mind to not sit in the negative thoughts and stuff like that. So that's one of the things I learned through therapy is not to, like, just sit in those thoughts. So you do have a good point with that, like, because that's hard. That's hard, yeah.
But some things do need to be sat with. Some feelings definitely do need to be sat with. And you do gotta like, I hate sitting with my feelings. Like still to this day. I don't want to do that, but I know that the other side is beautiful. But it's like, this dark and
I've learned though, like sitting with your feelings is not a bad thing, because if you don't sit with them and you necessarily like just hold them in,
they don't go away. They don't just go away. They just like get pushed to the back.
It pushes it back.
You start losing space for all the good thoughts and the positivity.
You go through other stuff in life, and so not only are you holding on to this right here because you didn't really sit with it and like try to grow from it and learn through it. Now you're gonna go through another problem potentially, and then you're gonna have to go through all of those things, because you never really sat and dealt with the other one. So I don't feel like sitting with it is a bad thing. I feel like we all need to do that, whether the problem is big or small, and I feel like figuring out how to navigate through it is the best part of that. Like,
I feel like like in relationships when you might have a partner and they do something that kind of irks you, but it's like it's not really big enough to talk about. Then it happens again. It's like, okay, well now it's irking me more. It happens again. And it's like, this could have been settled at the front, where like y'all could have had a discussion about this and got it settled. And just like our feelings, like you something happens, like it's not that big of a deal. I'll let it slide. Then it happens again. All right, well now it's a bigger deal. Then it happens again. Now it's like now I'm angry or sad.
Now
or
mad.
Whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Now big
about
mad.
the situation where it's like, we could have handled this 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
What, just being able to sit with yourself for an hour. Like if you knew that an hour or two of your time a day could change your entire life, like that just seemed worth it all of a sudden. Like an hour don't seem that long anymore.
I'm not gonna lie. I sit with myself every day, whether it be in the morning, whether it be in the nighttime, because it's just like, it has taught me how to really get through those hard times and those really rough emotions. Like, and I'll sit and think about things, but during that moment when I'm thinking about them, I try to really think, well, why are you upset? Why are you angry? Why do you feel like, all this stuff is happening? And when I do that, I realize sometimes I'm like, okay, 50% of it is in your head, and then the other half of it just may be like, okay, like, this is not that bad. Like, I can really get through this. Like, I can really work through this. It's not the end of the world. Like, so I do feel like, sitting with those things and really, like, trying to figure out why you feel that way is very, very crucial and, like, very important. Yeah. So moving on to the next step, too.
I think, too, for me, it's like how beautiful it is that we get to feel things. Like, you wouldn't really have like these really happy, great, amazing days if you didn't know what it really felt like to be really down.
True.
Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're happy every day, then it's just kind of like a regular day.
You have a bad day. That's a fairy tale.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a fairy tale. Yeah. Like, that's a good point.
I just feel like them sad emotions are sad, but like, how cool is it that you get to be sad? Right. You know what I'm saying? Or happy then on the next day, and work through all those emotions,
because everything can't be always sunshine and rainbows, but exactly. Like, if you do understand like how to navigate and like move throughout the journeys that aren't even sunshine and rainbows, it makes you a better person in the end. It makes you a stronger person in the end, because let's say the next problem comes up and you're like, oh, I could get through this. I'm not really, I'm not gonna let this one problem affect the rest of my life because I know that I could get through this. Like, so yeah, I feel like that's great. I want us to work on bringing people on to also tell about their experiences in life and like their journeys and the things that they face, because I believe everybody has a story. I believe everybody has things that they've gone through, whether traumatic or positive, that can help really just help as a community, that can help build the next person, that can help people understand that, hey, like, you're not the only one that went through this. Like, there's so many people that go through things that they just don't voice and they don't talk about. But I feel like with us doing this podcast, I feel like bringing people on and like having them tell their stories and having them telling their experiences, I feel like that makes us better as a community. Yeah. Like, that makes us better as a whole. I feel like that lets people know, like, hey, you're really not alone. Like,
I think it's like we're only 2 people, you know? So we can't speak for every experience of every person.
Like
so I think
70 billion people in this
world. Know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's important that we bring these people on where other people can also like, oh, okay, that person reminds me of myself, and they going through what I'm going through. Let me listen in.
Especially the youth, because if I could have had somebody in my younger years talking to me and, telling me like, hey, it's okay. So what, so what did this happen?
Okay. Life will continue.
You're only 20. Like, it's okay that you went through that. Like, if I had those things, I feel like life would have been a lot better. If I had even a video to watch for 5 minutes. Okay, well, that's enough. Okay, I can get through some stuff now.
Just something while you're brushing your teeth, telling you how amazing you are.
Yeah,
how you can get
you're great. You're gorgeous. You do this.
You're beautiful.
You smart, beautiful, kind. So yeah, I feel like bringing people on would be really, really good to this podcast.
I'm excited for that.
I'm excited too. For that. I can't wait.
I think that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up, huh?
Wrap it up.
I want to thank you guys for listening in to the Block Podcast. Remember, I'm Dallas, our wonderful co-host Robin. Give a special shout out to our videographer, our producer, our editor Libby back there behind the camera. Thank you guys for listening in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. We'll be back soon
with another video. It's gonna be great.
One down, a whole bunch more to go. Yeah.
Yep. Take it day by day, one day at a time.